Hi everyone. So I'm going to make a video series where we just slowly go through database and file concepts. This whole chapter is mostly about Microsoft Access. Let me just close all of this. Access. So we're mostly going to work with things that have to do with Microsoft Access. So we're going to work with tables, we're going to work with queries, we're going to work with forms, and we're going to work, what's the other one? Reports. Here's the reports. So everything you'll need to know about Access, you'll be able to do inside of these options over there. So, I am a bit sick, so if my voice sounds extra boring, just put it on 2 times speed. Um, and yeah. Okay, so introduction, database. It's a structured method for storing data in sets of tables, and we are going to work with a bunch of tables. So we will get to that point there. So the first thing that they say is to create a database. So figure 10.1 from 10.101 sales processing contains data about customers. Okay, so what I would suggest is here in the source files for chapter 10, just download it. And as soon as that downloads, you can say open in file location and extract. You can just extract all in here, but I'm going to do it on my desktop because I have done it more than once, so I won't be able to find everything. So for the first, it's just waiting for it to open. For the first worked example, I'm just going to close everything I'm not using. There we go. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So just going to open this again. Okay, so for the first worked example, they're just showing us that this is a database or a table about, what is this? This is about customers. So if you double click on customers, you'll see a bunch of information for Rena Wulcheski. Street address, city, country, state, zip code, telephone, email, and marketing. Okay, so all of this has been put in through a table, and we can add in our own information in here. I should be able to type in a name in here, and then this should be 83. So this is just a table with some data. This is a database, and it's about customer table. So data that is stored in a single table is called a flat file. Okay, so what we have here is what they call a flat file. I'm just gonna make this tab documents, because currently it's now in like windowed, so if I open more than one, then it's just going to be difficult to see. So I'm just going to open that one again. There you go. So now I can open more than one. So they're saying that this database, this table, is a flat file. Okay, so let's see what they mean by that. Data that is stored in a single table is called a flat file. So all the data about the customers are stored inside of this table, and this is a flat file. Within a table are rows known as records. So for record 1, this would be everything in here. So this row 1, row 4 would be another record. And yeah, those are just the records. Each record is an entity, which is a set of data about a single thing or person. Okay, so this entity related to customer ID 2, this is the entire entity. So everything about customer ID 2, we have all the information there, and this represents everything of 2. In the worked example, the data about Mark Wenger is a single record entity. Mark Wenger, Wenger. I have Wenger. But anyway, it's this guy here, Mark Wenger, and that is a single entity. Each entity has categories of information. These categories are known as attributes or fields. So these are attributes, or what we call fields. So it's the columns. So the columns are the field names, and the rows are the entities. So you have rows and columns just like we had in Excel, but we just refer to them as attributes, fields, or entities. One of the fields will be known as the primary key. The primary key contains a unique value for each record. This means that each value can only exist once in that table, so it is possible to uniquely identify each record using the primary key. Okay, so all they're saying is this is our primary key. You can see that there's only one number 1 here. There's only one number 6 here. Now, a primary key, if you want to go identify, if they give you a table, if you go into the design view, if you click on that button over there, or if you want to click on that button at the bottom right there, you can see the design view. You'll see there is a black key over there. I can't really zoom in any further. I don't have the zoom option here, but you can see this customer ID got a black key there. Now that is our primary key. You can make another field a primary key by just clicking on that field in the design view and click on primary key, and then you know that is the primary key. But this has been set to our primary key, and it needs to have a unique identifier for the customer. So for customer ID 1, we have Irina Wolszewski and all of her information. So for this entity, it has been assigned to the primary key number 1 for customer ID. Now, you'll see primary key a lot during this, so if you don't get it or understand what it does yet, you will see it, and it usually makes sense as soon as you start using the data. So the primary key contains a unique value for each record. This means that each value can only exist once in that table. So it is possible to uniquely identify each record using the primary key. In the worked example 10.01, customer ID is the primary key. Okay, we just said that. The software that is used to manage database is called a database management system, DBMS. So sometimes this is referred to as a relational database management system, RDBMS, as it is managing database that includes relationships. Okay, so I would like you guys to first try this practical activity on your own, but we can maybe say pause the video, try it, and then you can check your answers with mine. Okay, so they say open 10.0 sales processing and then open the table product. Okay, so I'm just going to close customer and they say open product. Identify 4 field names in the product table. Okay, so I'm just going to make a Word document. And this is for practical activity 10.01. Practical activity, activity 10.01, and I'm just going to underline and bold it just so it stands out. So question 1, identify 4 field names. So field names would be these fields over here. So the columns are usually the fields. So I'm just going to say product name, category ID, supplier ID, and quantity per unit. Okay, so that was just for question 1. Then next, identify the primary key in the product table. So I would say, just by looking at this, I would say it's the product ID over here, but we can go into the design view and just go look where the key is, and it seems it is product ID. So we just say product ID. Now these ones over here, not to confuse you or anything, but these are the primary keys of different tables over here. If this is the primary key for all the products, then these are the primary keys of different tables. We call these foreign keys. So if this is the primary key, if you have a primary key from another table, this is called a foreign key. So you'll see that, so if this is confusing you, try to ignore what I'm saying. But in products, okay, you can see here in products, we have product ID. This is the primary key of products. So we just saw that there. This is the relationships between all the tables. You can see in the category table, we also have a category ID, and this is the primary key of this entire table. But as soon as you link a primary key of one table to one of the field names in a different table, this was the primary key, so this we call a foreign key. So another one that we might have is supplier ID. I just want to see here. So we should actually connect this one to supplier ID, you can see over there. And then if you create that, then you can see there's a relationship over there. And I'm just going to take that out because I think that is what we're going to do eventually. But that is called a foreign key, and this is also called a foreign key. So we will get to that. How many records are in the product table? Okay, so think of records. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it goes on until 77. So I would say we have 77 records. Okay, and next, identify 2 other tables within the database. Okay, so within this database, there's something connected to it as well. We have category ID. So we have table category, and supplier ID also comes from the supplier table. So these are 2 other tables within this here. So the reason why you would do this, in category ID, if I open category ID, where is category? Here. So if I open category, instead of us having, so it's number 6, so if I go to 6, instead of us having 2 more field names here saying category name and description, instead of having that, we just have one single number connecting to meat, poultry, and prepared meats. And instead of having for the supplier ID, so supplier ID, instead of having all of these fields in, instead of having all of that in here as well, so that means you have to change all of these, you just have a ID that says that if this product comes from supplier ID 26 here, instead of having that said a million times, you just change something in here, and then that would not change anything inside of our product table. Again, most of these things make more sense when we have examples, but I'm just trying to lure you guys in for the next few topics that we're going to discuss. But up till this point, everything is simply straightforward. So we have table category and table supplier. Table category and table supplier. Okay, so those are the 2 tables that we had to mention. Okay, so that was all. So this was just for activity 10.01. I'm going to stop the video here, and I'll just make one video for every single practical activity, and hopefully this would help you guys go through this chapter. If there's anything that you need more explanation on, or if you're saying that I'm over explaining things, please let me know. I just really want you guys to understand this. But yeah, I'll end the video here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.